are souls at stake. Let's give it our best. Let's take them back to the Bible.
Welcome to Reaching the Lost Success Strategies. We have a first in our School of Evangelism. We're actually going to introduce another speaker and use a lesson that he presented at Pulsing the Pulpit Branson, because it fully reflects what we're trying to do in the School of Evangelism. And Zach Williams, he gets it. He's gone to one of our American mission campaigns. And Zach is a great evangelist. He spent some time at the Memphis School of Preaching, and then due to some circumstances back home, left early and went back to his home congregation in Nashville, Arkansas, the Sunset Church of Christ, and began preaching. Well, that congregation has gone from a church that just was struggling, and they could see the downward trajectory, to a congregation thriving and growing through congregational evangelism. Zach asked me, Rob, can we have a permission can I teach this to the church? Can I get access to the curriculum? I said, absolutely, Zach. So he has been training the church, and what they have done there is absolutely remarkable. And it's a result of congregational evangelism. It works. Well, Zach's lesson was, are you stuck? Or what do you do when a congregation is stuck? He goes through a lesson really highlighting multiple things you can do. He gives you a lot of stubble and fuel to create a fire, a blaze. And he's going to talk about that stuff that we recommend right here in the School of Evangelism. In fact, we learned a few things from Zach that we'll be adding to our curriculum. So I hope you enjoy it. We've embedded it in this video. I know it's a little longer, but you will enjoy listening to this. You'll get something out of this. So take some time, listen to Brother Williams as he talks about how to get your congregation from being stuck. Get them moving, saving souls. To God be the glory.
In Jeremiah 20, the great prophet was fed up. He was tired and exhausted. He had spent all night long in the stocks for declaring the Word of God. Nobody ever listened to him, and he thought, I'm all alone, and I'm tired, and I'm useless, and nobody cares. God, I'm done. It's just not worth it anymore. And then in Jeremiah 20, verse 9, he boldly declared, I will not make mention of God nor speak anymore in His name. He said, God, I quit. I'm finished and I'm through. But His word was in my heart like a burning fire shut up in my bones, and I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. He said, even though I tried to keep it in, I tried to hold it back, the Word of God was like a fire in my bones. Here's the question. Is your congregation stuck? Let's begin with a reality check, a self-assessment, a quick 10-question quiz to help you determine. Number 1, is your Sunday morning attendance drastically different from your Sunday night and Wednesday attendance? Number 2, do members immediately rush to the exits as soon as the closing prayer is said? Do you struggle to recruit volunteers for basic, easy jobs? Is there a functioning system in place for teaching and involving your new converts? Number 5, are elders' meetings reactive instead of proactive? Number 6, do your visitors receive any kind of follow-up after they visit for the first time? Number 7, are there more favorable conversations about the way things used to be than the way things currently are? Number 8, is it uncommon for somebody to respond to the invitation? Number 9, do visitors often come once but never come back? Number 10, have your attendance numbers decreased in the last 10 years. I would love to think that every single congregation represented here scored a perfect 10 out of 10 on that exam. But I don't think that's reality. And in fact, I know it's not just by the fact that you're here. And you wouldn't have attended the session that says, is your congregation stuck, if you didn't think your congregation was stuck. And so if you look around, obviously you're not alone. The sad reality is that many churches have mastered the art of looking alive without being alive. We look from the outside in and we see a building that's clean and the bulletin is attractive, the preaching is sound, the people are nice, but the fire has gone out. And just like the church at Laodicea, they're neither hot nor cold, and the Lord said, I will spew thee, I will vomit you out of my mouth. And the sad part is sometimes that can happen without anyone even noticing it's happening. Because fires rarely go out all at once. They don't just poof away. What does a fire do? It burns down. And when no fuel is added, it fades away from neglect. That can happen to our churches as well. When there's no new souls, no new studies, no new ideas, no new converts, no new fire, the fire can go out. But friends, here's the good news, and this is why we are here. Because it only takes one spark to change everything. Let there be light. What if I took a match and I lit that match? It would look really bright in this room right now. And I dropped that match in one of these empty chairs. And that chair caught on fire, and then it caught the floor on fire, and then it caught the walls on fire, and then the ceiling. Tell me this, is it possible that one single match could burn this entire convention center down to the ground? Is that possible? So what's the point there? If you came here expecting a magic bullet to eliminate your problems and make your church attendance explode, I'm sorry, I can't give that to you. But what I can do is I can humbly share with you some ideas. I can give you some matches. And I can share with you some things that we've done that have worked for us. And I can humbly submit those to you as ideas that you might want to take home and implement for yourself. And if one person leaves this room with one new idea, and that idea results in the saving of a soul, then this entire lectureship was worth it. If you leave here with one idea, it may just be what sets your congregation ablaze, because we know that's what we need, right? Our churches need more fire. We need more fire in our worship. We need more fire in our preaching, more fire in our classes. We need more fire in our mission work. We need more fire in our evangelistic efforts, more fire in our homes. We need more fire in our bones. Now you may be saying, I'm just one member. I'm not even the preacher. I'm not one of the elders. I'm not a deacon. What can I as one member do to set my congregation ablaze with the fire it so desperately needs? Are you ready? Be the spark. You be the spark. And behold, James said, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. My father has a wood stove. And he loads that wood stove up at night, and he builds a great fire, and it burns through the night, but it burns out during the day. And when he goes back to the stove the next night, the fire has gone out, the stove is cold to the touch, there's not a single light that you can see. But each night in the winter, he takes a poker and he digs around and he finds one glowing ember that's still lit. And he adds the kindling and he adds the larger logs and he nurses it back. And before you know it, that stove that was out and completely cold is now once again ablaze with life. Christians, if your congregation's fire has grown dim, and you notice that if you look at the surface and you see ashes, if the worship has gone cold, then you be that spark to reignite the blaze and turn your congregation into an evangelism machine. Now, before we get to the ideas that I have to share, if you will, we need to remember something you were taught as a child. And that is, if you play with fire, you get okay. So here's what not to do. Don't take these ideas and turn yourself into the that ain't right guy. You know that guy? Don't go home to your elders and say, I went to PTP and we need to do this and this and this. We ought to be doing this because that ain't right. Why can't we fix this? Look at that. That ain't right either. Don't go home and tell your elders, I learned everything that we're supposed to be doing and we're not. Don't do that. Instead, perhaps try this. Ask to meet with your elders, and here's how you can do that. I just got back from PTP and it was amazing. And I took so many good notes and I heard so many ideas throughout the week that I would love to implement. And I would love to meet with the elders to share some of these ideas and to present some potential solutions to problems we face, and also to offer my total support and assistance in whatever planning or organization or fundraising or financing or any other work that these ideas may involve. If you go to your elders and you humbly say, I would love to meet with you to discuss some ways that we can help the church to grow. If your elders are godly men, then they'll love to hear that. It all starts with a spark. And if you want a fire in the pews, that starts with a fire in you. Now, I have 50 ideas to share with you. But you're not going to get all of them written down. So at the end of this PowerPoint, my email address is on the screen and it's also in the app. And if you'll send me an email, then I will reply with a PDF illustrated outline of all the things that I'm about to tell you. And we better get started. Okay, number one, let's start with some sparks. What is a spark? A spark is an idea that we can implement next week. It doesn't take a lot of prep work. They're not very big ideas, but that's okay. Ecclesiastes 9:10 says, whatsoever thy hand finds to do, do it with thy might. These are ideas that don't take much prep, and you can go home and you can do these ideas right now yourself. For example, here's one. Greet visitors. You don't need anybody's permission to be friendly. When you go home next week, you can stand right at the front door and you can be the first person that visitors see. And you can welcome them inside and you can show them to their seat and take their children to the appropriate classrooms. And in doing so, you're making a spark. Here's another one. Greet visitors and sit by visitors. Our visitors, hear me friends, should never ever sit alone. Invite them to sit by you. You go and sit by them. Engage them in conversation. Make them feel welcome. And if you do that, then you are making another spark. Number 4, what about some visitor gift bags? You can go to the Dollar Tree and you can buy a 3-pack of gift bags for $1.25. And you can also buy some nice candles at the Dollar Tree and some candy. And you can put all that together with a bow. And when that visitor comes, you can say, we sure love our visitors. I want you to have this. And when they take it home and set it on their counter, every time they walk by, they're going to think about the church. That is a spark. Here's another one. Visitor cards. Don't leave Dollar Tree yet. Pick up some nice cards. And when you see a visitor, get their contact information and you mail them a letter saying how much you enjoyed seeing them and how you have a pew for them and they're always welcome to come visit the Church of Christ. And you just made another spark. Here's one for preachers. Make handouts for your sermons. It doesn't take very long to make a very simple outline with a few fill-in-the-blank spots. Ever since I started to do that, I can't tell you how many people have said, I appreciate having a printed handout to help me follow along and take better notes. That's creating another spark. Here's a fun one. RATGAT. Has anybody ever heard of this? I have no idea where this came from, but it stands for read a tract, give a tract. How many of us have a tract rack in the back of the auditorium that never gets used and it's loaded down with tracts? They don't do any good on the rack. So every week, if every member takes a tract on the way out, reads it, and then gives it away before they come back, we're creating more and more sparks. Here's the last one. This is one that everybody can do today, and that is pray. Do you really want to see your congregation grow? Then light some sparks and pray. And if you do that, then those sparks will lead to flames. What is a flame? A flame is an idea that you can do next month. Flames take a little bit more work. They're simple ideas, but they require some planning. While sparks are something that you can do right away at the personal level, flames take a little more time because now we're moving out to the congregational level. For example, organized door greeters. If you decide to make it your job to welcome visitors, that's great. Do it. But what happens when you're at polishing the pulpit and there's visitors? That's why we need to have an organized greeting team so that every door is covered every week. What about organized visitor cards? When we have visitors, I can go ahead and warn them, you're going to receive a mailbox full of cards this week. And that's exactly what happened. And over the course of a few weeks, they'll receive 30, sometimes 40, or even 50 cards in the mail. Personal handwritten cards that say, we're so glad you visited. We would love for you to come back. We can't wait to see you again. And every card they get is increasing the odds that they what? That they come back. It's another spark that leads to a flame. Here are 3 meals that you could host on a monthly basis. The church loved to eat and spend time together in Acts 2:42, and we can do that as well. How about a men's breakfast? Pick a day every month, fry some bacon, and the men will come, I promise. What about a ladies' breakfast? Do the same thing. Have a devotional. We started having seniors luncheon recently, and I love this one. We started doing this, and I can't tell you how many of our seniors told me that is their favorite day of the month. Because aside from Sunday morning worship, many of them never leave the house. That's another way that we can implement some flame. If you give that a try, I guarantee you that will be a hit. Here's a fun one. How many of our Bible classes are as well attended as our worships? Is there a discrepancy between those two? Tell me this, what if we were to take our 10 o'clock worship and our 9 o'clock Bible class and swap them? And what if instead we had worship first and Bible class second? If you gave that a try, do you know what I think you would likely find? I think you would find that people are more likely to stay for Bible class than they are to get up and get the kids ready and get to the building earlier for Bible class. It may work, it may crash and burn. I don't know your congregation, but it's at least an idea that you can try. Here's a really fun one. What about singing in the hallway? You may have a foyer area or an atrium in your church building. We have a really long hallway behind the auditorium. It has tile floors and drywall and a hard ceiling. The acoustics are incredible and it echoes forever. Our last gospel meeting, we had a singing that Tuesday night. We lined that hallway with chairs and we sang all night long, and it was the most beautiful singing that many of our members had ever heard. Novelty can be good, provided that it's within the bounds of Scripture. There's an idea that you might want to try. Here's another one. Try to have one event a month that's outside of the church building. You know, a church that spends time together outside of worship is a healthy congregation. And a healthy congregation is one that grows. Some quick ideas for you. What about a picnic at the park? Or a bowling night? Or an outdoor movie night? Or a game night at a member's house? Or maybe a chili cook-off competition? Here's one. Throw an everybody's birthday party. Celebrate all the birthday parties on the same day and have a big gift exchange. Does that sound fun to you? Now here's the really cool part. It's a lot easier for a visitor to go bowling with the church than to show up on Sunday morning and worship with the church. And when that visitor becomes well acquainted with the church outside of the church building and they become friends, guess who's more likely to come see us during worship and whose soul is now more likely to be saved because of the flame that they see with us? Here's number 8. What about kids singing in pew packers? Invite the children to come 30 minutes early on Sunday night or 30 minutes early on Wednesday night. Invite them to come to the front row. Sing those vacation Bible school songs they like. Play some games and have some trivia. And what you're doing is you are now incentivizing the parents to bring their children on Sunday night. And if the little children show up, then the people who drove them show up as well. Another idea to light some flames in your congregation. Now, here's my favorite one. That's not my favorite one. Here's my favorite one. Free pizza night. We tried this recently and it was a hit. Have you ever hit a lull where you haven't had many prospects? You haven't had many visitors come through your door? I guarantee you, if you make a post on Facebook that says, we're having free pizza this Saturday night, and the whole community is invited, you don't even have to advertise. You will get visitors in your church building. And then you'll be able to follow up with the ones that stay. Another idea that might light a spark. Okay, here's parent date night. How many of you parents love your kids but would be happy to drop them off at the church building for a few hours? The church would be happy to do that, especially if you invited your peers and coworkers who are also parents to do the same. An evangelistic tool, a spark, lighting a flame. Now, once we pass flames, now we reach our third level, and that is a blaze. What is a blaze? A blaze idea, these are the big ones. These are ideas that you plan for next year. We've done next week, next month, now next year. We looked at sparks, and sparks are at the personal level, but flames, they're at the congregational level. And so a blaze is now at the community level. You don't have to advertise a blazing fire. Do you know why? Because everybody can see it. And if your congregation is ablaze with the fire of the gospel, then your community will know it. We're moving now from cruise ship to battleship, from stuck in neutral and dying to placed in high gear and thriving. You're not ready for this one. Cookies. The community loves cookies. Cookies are inexpensive. They're easy to make in bulk if you have members that are willing to do that. Why not pick a day every month that you take cookies to somebody in your community, such as your police department, your fire department, the EMS department, the school teachers. Take them to the city, take them to the courthouse, the hospital, the nursing home, the senior citizen center, the highway department, anywhere in your community where people can be found. Pick a day, pick a time during the year, pick a month, and take them some cookies. And make sure every single bag is labeled so they know where it came from and they know who they can come to see and thank. That's how you get an entire community talking. That's how you start a blaze. Here's another one. What about food drives? You may be thinking food drives are kind of a logistical difficulty. There's a lot of expense and moving pieces involved there, but it doesn't have to be. We've been very blessed in our area that our local food bank contacted us. And they said, we have more food than we can distribute. And you have a facility. If you can gather enough volunteers, we will bring you an 18-wheeler truck full of food quarterly and let you distribute it yourself. Call your food banks. And when you do something like that, friends, that generates hundreds of contacts. We normally fill up 300 vehicles every time we do that. That's more than 300 people. And we get their contact information because they have to apply, and we can follow up with them, and we can put whatever material we want to put in with those food baskets. We put stickers on every single can so they can't open the macaroni without seeing that the Sunset Church of Christ loves their soul. That's an opportunity. Another idea, it may be worth calling your food bank to start a blaze. Here's one that we plan to implement next year. That is the Wednesday community table. On Wednesday nights, cook a big meal, make something easy, a bunch of spaghetti, grill some hamburgers and hot dogs, and theme it. Have a first responders night. Have the football team. Have the hospital staff. And invite them to come at 6 o'clock on Wednesday night to share a meal together. And then here's how you do this one. When everyone's starting to wrap up their meal, you stand up, you pick up the microphone, and you say, I'm so glad that you came. We're going to start our Bible class right now. If everybody will just turn their chairs around, we'll get started. You know what that is? That's called being wise as serpents and harmless as doves. They came for food, but they're leaving with spiritual meat. Okay, here's another one. Have evangelistic gospel meetings. How many of our gospel meetings are not evangelistic at all? And in many ways, sometimes I think we shouldn't even call them gospel meetings anymore because we don't do any kind of outreach for the spreading of the gospel. So here's an idea for you. If you want the church to get out of the building, then take the church and move them out of the building. That's a hard one, I know it. Have your gospel meeting one Tuesday night and have it at a neutral area in the community. Maybe you have to rent a place. Maybe you have a nice city park with a pavilion. Maybe your public school will let you use their auditorium. The denominations do it all the time. Why can't we? Do it somewhere neutral, somewhere in the public. Advertise it as a community meeting. Have free food provided. And before you do that, here's the key. Train your members. And make sure they know this is an evangelistic gospel meeting. And the purpose of this is to generate contacts and to bring them in. And so whenever you see somebody that you don't recognize, you speak to them and get their information. And here's one more idea. Have your speaker finish that sermon on that Tuesday night on such a huge cliffhanger that they have to come back on Wednesday to the church building to hear the rest. That's how you start a blaze in your community. Here's one we tried last month and it went great. We had a community Sunday. And that's all we did. We didn't even put our name on the flyer. We just invited the community. And I took a list of the last 2 years of visitors that we've had. And every single person that's visited us over the last 2 years received a flyer in the mail that looked like this. You may recognize that fella. And we had on that one Sunday, after doing the advertising and doing the door knocking, we had 30 visitors show up because it was a community Sunday. Lunch was provided, and we had a good speaker. That's an idea that you might want to try. Maybe even replace one of your gospel meetings if you need to. Is your congregation stuck? Do you want to see a surge in attendance? If so, here's one final idea for you, and I saved this for last because it's actually my favorite. I went to my elders last year, and I said, I have a proposal. I would like to have potluck lunch every single Sunday in 2025. And I have really good elders because they didn't say no. And they said, how can we help? And so what we did was we took our theme for 2025. Our theme for 2025 this year is thriving and growing. And if you take the words thriving and growing, and you take the first letters, it actually spells T-A-G. That is tag. And so we put up a couple of these banners. One says thriving, one says growing. I think this is the growing one. And we put them up for everybody to see, and we divided the congregation into 4 different tag teams. And every tag team has potluck once a month. If you're on team 2, every first Sunday you have potluck. If you're on team 1, every first Sunday you have potluck. If you're on team 2, every second Sunday, and so on. And that accomplishes a few things. Number 1, it helps us thrive as a congregation. I think we can all agree that's good. But number 2, it also gives us a way that every single Sunday, no matter when it is, if we have a visitor, we can always do what? We can always invite our visitors to stay and eat lunch with us and give us an opportunity to get to know them and to meet their family and to make them feel like part of our family. That's thriving and growing. And if you use this idea, I would encourage you to also make t-shirts. And on the front of that t-shirt, you can print in big letters, tag, you're it. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't have all the answers. And I know you're aware there's no one big secret that will instantly turn a stuck congregation around. The reality is it takes a long time to turn a big ship. And that excellence is a lot of small things done well. I hope that you can use some of these ideas. And if your congregation is stuck, and if you want to see an explosion of church growth, then I challenge you as an individual. You be the spark. You be that match, and you go home and start the flames that sets this world ablaze with the fire of the gospel. These ideas are now yours. Tag, you're it.
We just plant and water, then watch God see the increase start. There are our souls at stake. Let's give it our best. Let's take them back to the Bible.